Hey, welcome back. This week we've been talking about MK11. We've been also talking about Star Wars, the new trailer. What else do we got?
Yeah,
Hellboy.
Hellboy. Yeah, we do a lot
Mila
about
Jovovich.
Hellboy. And
Also,
we talk
yeah.
about the OA and a little bit of Matrix and Heroes, I think.
And as tradition, at some point, I mentioned my hate for Halle Berry's Storm.
And as tradition, I think we argue about The Last Jedi.
Well, I'm all out of beverages, so we might as well get out of here. Let you guys listen to this podcast.
Let us roll. Okay, guys.
What's up?
It's insane this week. We're getting so close to like...
Oh, we've been recording?
Yeah, we've been recording, but obviously they'll just jump in right here because
Okay.
what we talking about earlier is nonsense. But
Very nonsense.
But this week and the week and next, I'm sure is just going to be insane. Tons of just comic stuff dropping because they're probably trying to take advantage of the end game stuff and other things going
yeah.
on. So all this information, Mortal Kombat stuff, all these
I
things
don't
are
understand.
dropping.
There's so many fandoms, like Game of Thrones and all
Yeah.
stuff. Like everything's happening right now for some reason.
Did you see the Game of Thrones Oreos?
Yep. There's Oreos, there's wine, whiskeys, there's several whiskeys. Like Scum and Villainy, which is a Star Wars bar in Hollywood, is now
Yeah.
Game of Thrones bar for like, I don't know if it's a couple weeks or if it's going to be for the rest of the season.
Right.
That's weird. I
And
want to
it's
get
still
tickets to that
expensive.
Kevin Smith thing that's going to be there. I think it's probably sold out already, but hopefully when I get my paycheck this next week, I'm like,
Well, also, they like Kevin Smith does stuff like every week in LA. So
I don't know about every week. Every week, I only see it like once every maybe 2 months or
oh
so.
really? Because he just announced something else at the Improv on like the 20th or something.
Yeah. Well, I think they don't talk about like comic book stuff there. I think they just talk about movies. Or
They just
something.
make hand
Gotcha.
puppets in the
Maybe.
lights the whole
He
night.
does do a lot of stuff though.
Yeah.
He's got his hands in a lot of.
Hand
So,
puppetry.
we were
Baskets.
saying
I don't know.
earlier, that Vince is the only one that hasn't seen the new Star Wars trailer.
Yeah, so
I was saying that not much actually happens, but you have to be very quiet at the very end because a lot of people missed the end and they were like, "What the hell was this?"
coming
So
soon.
many people miss Palpatine laughing at the end, and they were like, "What?" Like, they were like, "What?" There was nothing that happened. They were like, "Except effing Palpatine
Is laughing.
back."
Yeah.
Right after they were like,
And
"No one's ever truly gone," and then like.
He's like maniacally incarnate.
Also, they had a preview in there. Well, they had Lando, but they also had a preview of BB-8's new buddy, Dio.
Oh, the new toy.
Dio.
Yeah, he's like a candy corn on wheels.
Is he like the black drone?
No, he was right there.
Oh, he was in there?
Oh,
He was right. He's a little candy corn on wheels. That's not my thing. It was Ruth Ann from Geek Chic
Oh,
came up with that term as the best like description because it's a little like droid candy corn.
Huh, okay, yeah. Little freaking, what does it look like? A icing topper. It's awesome, though. Lando.
but
Still in good form.
Yeah.
here's one of the funny things. Obviously, I despised The Last Jedi. And it only got worse as it went along. And so a lot of people loved The Last Jedi, which is kind of weird. It's just very like a big...
I genuinely loved it.
I did too,
I watched
yeah.
it a couple times and I didn't find anything that I didn't like.
I would watch it again, actually, right now. Let's watch it right now.
right now, while we're podcasting.
But I also don't come from like a hardcore fandom, so
Yeah, we're a little too young to have hit that fandom.
evil Palpatine laugh.
I'll put these memes up on the link, but they're pretty hilarious. I feel like the people that at least that did not like The Last Jedi, were not excited for this, but like this got people excited.
Yeah, and also they kind of revealed, or at least to me, that it was going to be like the final chapter. Like they're not going to do the every year.
Oh,
thing
yeah,
like they
they-
originally
Yeah.
planned.
So
Well, they've been
they're
talking
gonna
about
finish
that.
this saga.
So it makes me wonder, what actor are the Star Wars fans going to drive to suicide this time?
Oh gosh.
I think I talked about this last podcast. I watched a Soul Pancake interview with the Jar Jar Binks actor, and he, in detail, talked about his suicide attempt, like when the Star Wars fans went crazy, and then like Kelly Marie Tran, like being driven off, like on. It's like, okay, so who's the actor that's going to be in this movie that everybody doesn't like,
Oh goodness.
Man.
like violently?
I feel like the originals, people didn't like the Ewoks very
Yeah.
much. Like people that were like hardcore Star Wars fans. I actually liked them.
I'm a
I don't know
huge
why.
Ewok fan.
I also think so.
Lula, lula, lula.
When that
It's a little song they sing.
When that was big, like that, they were marketed towards us. Like when we were kids, it was Ewoks cartoons and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think the fact is like, just like the Porgs and stuff, they're not for us.
Yeah.
Like they're for like your girls, like to like buy toys and stuff like that, and they're just side characters,
Ari actually has. She has. What's the one Ewok? His name.
I can't remember the name.
Wicket. Wicket. I think his
Oh,
name.
yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
has a
Wicket.
big stuffed Wicket. So it's
Yeah, like
just a funny way to say.
I knew the Ewoks before I knew Star Wars because as a kid that was the Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh, yeah, the Ewoks. I forgot about that
Yeah,
call.
and then I
too.
guess-
Oh my gosh, that's another thing Lucas probably wants to forget.
The Ewoks.
That cartoon and
And
the
the
Star
Christmas
Wars
special.
Christmas special.
Well, Star Wars Christmas special is a whole other thing, but the Ewoks whole like the cartoon and all that stuff. I mean, just coming from a kid who watched it when it was out, like I loved it. Like, there's a lot of cartoons and shows and stuff from when I was little. Like I can't remember one that I didn't like because I probably just forgot about it. But like the fact that I remember it fondly, like I think it worked. Like they marketed it towards kids, and I had a good time watching it. Like I enjoyed the magic in it. I think I even had the playset. All the treehouse playset thing.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Yeah.
Intriguing.
I want to go through this like scene by scene though here because I want to talk about like why I think the people that didn't like this movie, like obviously J.J. Abrams got to me, and I want to go one by one on why.
All right.
So at the beginning here, like we see, she's here, and in the last couple movies, I feel like she didn't do a lot. Like fighting wise,
yeah.
Like you take a look at the prequels, and the fights are like insane. They're all over, especially the last one where it's like CGI fights.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting take because, like, as a lay fan, is that the word? I don't know.
Sure.
I thought that it was pretty cool, the fighting and stuff. But I was sitting back watching these arguments of how they were like, she can do too much, she's doing too much, so she's a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see like both sides of people who dislike the movie because like you feel like she didn't do enough, and other people who didn't like it felt like she did way too much.
When you say the Mary Sue, I think they say that like she got to the point to where she could do like the Jedi kind of stuff way faster than Luke. Luke in the first movie doesn't like do anything besides at the end when he like shoots the like use the Force when he's shooting out the guns like
Oh, the bomb
okay.
down.
Yeah, with the bomb down. Yeah, that photon torpedo or whatever it is. That's like the only thing he does with the Force in that whole freaking movie.
I didn't like how she could just jump right into like this level of forcedness.
That's what I'm saying. That's what people are talking about with that. I feel like that there wasn't a lot of lightsaber action in these movies. The first two.
There wasn't like choreographed. There was choreographed battles, but they weren't professional at all. Like in the sense of both people fighting shouldn't have looked like amateurs.
They look a little bit more like real life.
Well, they were just both like hacking at each other.
So
we're like
Monty Python
We're
style?
like when it was Luke and anybody else, they all had like a stance and they all had like this ta 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 kind of like action to their fighting. Where these guys were just like whoa, flah, and then like she's falling down, he's falling down, and like,
he's supposed to be like almost a Jedi.
he's supposed to have the same sort of techniques.
So that still confuses me though, because like, so is it too refined or is it not refined enough?
The fighting choreographing was more towards like emotional than it was like technical.
So that says to me that she's not a Mary Sue because she didn't arrive too quickly. She's in the in between. Like she's not like perfect yet. She's like kind of raw and emotional.
To be able to like use the Force to summon things to her is something
thing.
where it's like, whoa, that took Luke like 2 movies.
Yeah, he's like
So that's
across the room like trying to get
Yeah.
come on,
Even
a
like
little
with like when they put the thing in when he's in the ship and they put the things over his eyes and he has to like
he's
use
trying
the
to
Force to
I feel like there's especially at the beginning of that one. I don't want to rehash the last movie a lot, but like he's learning the Force throughout the movie and kind of being taught. Especially in the second movie, was the whole reason was like he goes to Dagobah to learn about the Force, and so there's a large part of that movie where he's just trying to learn crap. But yeah,
she's
I feel like in
super
this,
gifted and that's awesome. Like, and I love Rey because all of a sudden she's just able to like summon these things into fruition, like for herself.
See, what I got from the movie, without like having this deep like knowledge of like all the back like story and stuff, is that the whole point of The Last Jedi was that anybody can be a Jedi. It's not a special thing. It's not like something you have to be born to do. You have like special chromosomes or whatever that thing was. And in realizing that, you can arrive at it more quickly. So it's almost kind of like a denouncing religion kind of thing. I'm not saying I agree one way or another with this because I don't want like the comments of like where my personal life is, but like in the movie realm, it was kind of like if religion says the only way you can get to the afterlife, heaven, whatever, is like this one being or entity, but then like someone realizes like, oh wait, there's like a lot of ways to be a good person.
That's the parallel for sure.
And then I feel like that. So that's what I got. I don't know if it's intentional or not. I got out of it is like she kind of like knew like, well, I don't have to, or she figured out like I don't have to.
She
like
broke the mold. This is like a new generation, like it said.
I don't have to go through like years
all
and
the
years
training
of training and stuff,
all the
with,
fighting,
like,
all the
like,
training,
pointless like wax on, wax off kind of training. I could just like decide to be.
But that's like part of the hero's journey, though. Like, and that's why it's kind of lazy writing to like jump from one to the other.
I can see what you're saying, except like what I was trying to make a point was like I thought that was the point in the writing would be like it kind of defies all the things, and I know that's part of what people who didn't like Last Jedi didn't like, but I thought that it wrapped up into that core idea of like it's kind of the opposite of what you've always known.
It's a new chapter.
It's definitely the opposite of anything that's in not only in the old movies, but also I know that they vastly ignore the books, but that's pretty much the opposite of everything that's
books,
written
man,
that way.
are
And I
way
feel like that's why
crazier.
Star Wars, like, there's a large amount of people that read those books and have gotten into the comics and the movies, and so like to where when someone comes up like
was a
Ryan
good-
Johnson was like, and they were just like taken aback, like what? But anyway, I feel like with the first two movies, there was a little bit more like raw fighting. And if you take a look at the Phantom Menace there or any of the other movies, there's like a lot of jumping around and choreographed. Wow.
The only lightsaber scene I remember is between Darth Maul and I forget who, but also Yoda when he goes like ham.
Yeah,
Those are
Yoda's
two-
nuts
those are
in
the
that third
two.
one.
There's acrobatics, there's martial arts, there's
But there's none of that in the first two of these movies.
no, like this is like even to what you were saying, Rod. This is it shows like that they're trying to have a different generation.
Because J.J. Abrams is doing this next one again. He did the
Right.
first one. Ryan Johnson's did the second one, and J.J. Abrams is back for this third one.
He's literally setting the foundation for this new Star Wars.
Yeah.
So this is what we're
What I'm trying to get to is like here where she has a lightsaber out and she turns and she kind of waits for it to come after her and she makes this jump. It's obviously a lot more like those prequel fight scenes, which are probably what people didn't hate from the prequels. I feel like people hated more the goofy characters, like just the odd, sometimes more jokiness of it to where it was just weird. But I feel like they've kind of gone back and rehashed a lot of stuff in this.
It's interesting
just
to
with
see
this trailer.
them grow too, as you know, this new generation unfolds for Star Wars. Like I want to see what their pinnacle movie will be in these sagas, or you know whatever they decide to do.
To me, like I thought it was quite clever to take the franchise and kind of turn it on its head for Last Jedi. I get why people didn't like it, but just as somebody kind of sitting back and kind of casually watching all the other movies, and then like the prequels were my first introduction, but I was in high school and I wasn't really into sci-fi at that point. So I feel like The Force Awakens was like my true, like I'm an adult, I can buy my own movie ticket, go out whenever I want to see it, and I liked it. I felt like it was what Vince describes as buffet mashed potatoes. They're just fine. You can add stuff to it, but it's not. There's like no salt in it, you know. So like it's kind of safe for everybody. Like everybody
too smooth. You need a little bit of lumping.
Well, like everybody like eats it. They're like, sure, this is fine. You know, like I felt Force Awakens was like, sure, this is fine.
If somebody asked me how it tastes, I'd be like, it's potatoes.
Yeah, it's
Kinda.
not bad. Like it's not bad. It's like like it was just fine. And then like I thought Last Jedi like took a chance.
Yeah,
and I dug that. But like once again, I didn't care enough about it to like fight with anybody about it on the internet because like I'm like I get it because I hate Halle Berry's Storm. So whatever. Everybody has their thing.
Everybody's
you know?
got their
of course.
So like I don't know. I
I
now that you
dig it.
pointed out though, I do see like seems more trained in here. Like I wonder if there's like a definitive like timeline of like the time between the movies.
Maybe.
Like,
Yeah, I wonder if they'll show us too. You know,
but
Yeah.
I kind of, even though I joked at the beginning, I kind of am curious like who the Star Wars fans are going to crucify this time around. It seems to be a tradition now. Every movie they drive someone off the internet or to suicide. Like,
don't let it be Lando because he's just really cool with all his capes.
He was supposed to be-
It's never a legacy character.
It's always new
someone
people.
new.
Well, I feel like the legacy character people that wouldn't give a crap whether or not you
But
like
it just wouldn't happen to them. Is the thing.
Not
Like,
with that many capes.
It's always someone new to the game is always like more heavily criticized, and I get it's a fandom thing. Like,
Well, I mean, Leia did like overdose.
What if like a portal opens up and Rick and Morty jump out,
Oh,
and then
gosh.
also Solo from his own movie, the young Solo, he like
Just-
time warps with Morty.
Like a Lego movie or whatever where they show up.
I'm just curious because they're bound to introduce something new besides
Right.
Do.
I don't feel like people threw a fit in the first one though. I mean, like maybe I know that there were some hardcore like readers when Disney bought Star Wars. Like I said, disavowed like all those books and put it into like, oh, it's a separate universe called Legends or whatever. And so they were mad initially about that. But I don't feel like there was a large backlash against the first
Was
movie of
Kelly
Force
Marie
Awakens.
Tran only in Last Jedi?
She's only in the last.
So
Jedi.
with the Force Awakens, I remember the thing that I actually remember being like the thing I heard from all my like hardcore Star Wars fans was like it paralleled the story to one of the original trilogy. It was A New Hope.
It would be.
I think so. Yeah.
To where he's kind
and
of okay.
And because it was like it was another
Luke.
Death Star, like
Yeah.
it was everything, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, sure, like I because actually in this case, the people I know, the same friends were like the prequels weren't enough like the the original, and so now like this is pretty much the original. I went back and watched like New Hope or whatever this was parallel. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty much like very similar like beats, and
Which is
everything.
probably like, I mean, Ryan Johnson, not Ryan Johnson, J.J. Abrams seems to at least know how to kind of like take what is new, combined with the old, and trying to put it together and make like, okay, this is probably what the fans would like a little bit. And I know that, I don't know if he wrote that first movie, but I know that Ryan Johnson wrote the second movie.
It's fan
Like,
service.
so he wrote and directed it, and I feel like personally, I think he didn't go back and do that kind of what do the fans really want kind of thing. Kind of like we have a Kevin Feige in the MCU, and I harp on this all the time. You know, like, he loves these, like loves
Characters.
Marvel and the characters, and he was like, you know what? I want these things to be more like the characters, and so I don't want to like go off making new stories just randomly. And so I feel like that might be a little bit of a disconnect.
I mean, like someone in the Star Wars fandom could probably answer this better than someone that's not like hateful could probably answer this better than I could. But like,
Please don't be hateful.
I almost feel like they just shouldn't make any more Star Wars movies.
I'll be with you on that one.
Because well, I enjoy them, but I
Don't
feel like for Star
stop.
Wars, well, no, okay, so if they should keep making Star Wars movies. I think Star Wars fans should stop going to Star Wars movies. I think everybody else should go to Star Wars movies.
Hell yeah.
Because I feel like
Your
since
Star Wars is dead.
ever since the original trilogy, like the prequels, this new trilogy and stuff, I haven't heard anyone unanimously just be happy with any of the Star Wars movies.
The prequels.
You have purists out there, man.
Ooh, I mean, did you like the new Indiana Jones movie?
No.
I actually enjoyed it until the alien thing. It doesn't hold up to me as the classics, but it was
No.
fine. The chimpanzee thing was a little weird. It didn't ruin it for me. But once again, Indiana Jones was another one. I loved it as a kid, but I'm also like not like I'm not. I don't like worship that. So it's a little more difficult for me. Like it's more like the X-Men thing. Like I just kind of stopped seeing X-Men movies like urgently. Like when new
Yeah.
X-Men movies come out, I'm like, sure, I'll sometime maybe rent it or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that Star Wars fans should be like that for Star Wars movies because like I know Fox is just gonna ruin whatever X-Men does at any level. Now with Disney, I trust it a little bit more, but like I think with the people that were in charge of X-Men, I just knew I was never gonna be happy with it. So I feel like for the most part, Star Wars fans. There's enough of history now. It's like, you know, nothing's gonna. You should just pretend nothing but the original trilogy happened. I think. I mean, it just seems that way because I think everybody's just gonna be happier with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but
I feel also. I think that they just recently came out and said that they're not going to pretty much make any more Star Wars movies. I know that they're making a TV show, which
Yeah.
is kind of weird. That I think that Favreau's doing it, isn't he?
Oh,
I think
no,
John
that'd be cool.
Favreau's doing it. But and I liked the Clone Wars cartoon a lot. I think that was a really excellent cartoon. I don't know if you ever watched it, but
I
like,
haven't.
it's really good.
I might now though because I just heard Disney Plus is only gonna be like $6 a month.
Yeah, $6.99.
So
But like it's
Interesting.
It's a long series. I think there's 7 seasons in it, but like and there's this cartoon, so it's 25 episodes or whatever. And it's I feel like it made me dislike the prequels less because it gave so much in between. Because it's in between like certain prequels, and so like it gave you more of like an idea of like, okay, I can live in this world now. Because at first it was I feel like the prequels were very too cartoony. They were too like. I don't know, the new CGI as well as the goofiness that same Indiana Jones had compared to like the set in like almost like a real world of the old Indiana Jones. I think that really separated people, especially like that first one coming out of the gate with the Misa Jarman. Like, what the world is this?
I'm gonna be honest. I enjoyed all of that.
Yeah.
I liked all the movies back then when they
but-
came out.
The only thing I remember being at that age, I'd been what, like a teenager when this came out. The only thing I remember is like Hayden Christensen not having the greatest dialogue delivery.
The
But I
young
kinda-
Anakin.
Yeah, I kind of just accepted it. It's kind of, I don't know how much.
You
more
should
wanna talk.
racewatch that first
So,
one.
but
It is
pod
goofy as all
racing
get
is
out.
cool.
Pod racing.
I don't know if I love the pod racing. Like the pod racing game for Game
was
Boy Color
awesome.
was like my favorite.
Oh
thing
yeah, I
ever.
forgot about that.
Like and I love like because
had
to
games.
me pod racing was kind of like vampire baseball from Twilight. Like it's like and Quidditch from Harry Potter. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
little boy's dream come true. Like magic football.
This could be
like-
made into a video game.
Or like if I could be Anakin and pod race, yes. Like that like I would totally do that. I would build my own junker and go race. That would look fun as hell. But even then when I think back on it, I kind of accepted the Star Wars universe as kind of having kind of that campy dialogue. Even if you look at like Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher's performances, they're a little over the top. Like it's very like that has to do with time too. It's like 70s. And so kind of like and I guess we'll touch on a little bit later in the podcast, but like Vince and I saw Hellboy last night. So Mila Jovovich, people have been panning her performance. But you know what you're getting when you get her in a movie. There's enough movies out there that you just know. Like you're not gonna expect to get like Meryl Streep, you know. But we'll talk about that.
She's
a little bit
got
later.
one gear.
So which is hot.
Yeah.
and hot and like kind of badass.
She's a vampire.
But
The woman doesn't age. She looks exactly the same as she did in Fifth Element.
So we'll get to that a little bit later, but we'll keep going with the
Maybe hotter.
we'll keep going on with this trailer. So like Lando's back.
They talked about having Billy D in the last movie, but and I heard that he'd shot some stuff for the last movie or tried to, and I don't know if his health was bad or something else was going on, but they obviously didn't include it and they didn't talk about it at all. But he is obviously one of the few left from the originals that is alive,
OG.
or not killed off in the movie. And so
Lando.
it's like, oh, I know what can get people excited. Lando. Bam, put him in there. And so we got Lando.
And Chewie.
And not only just Lando, but Lando in the Falcon going, yeah, I got my Falcon back.
Yeah, I know,
kind of
right?
deal.
Finally.
Because, it was in that solo movie when he's like,
He like lost it.
he lost it,
so
but he's
glad
like,
we
I'm
get to
gonna
find
it back
out.
one day, you know?
Like that was another thing they just decided to add was that front piece of the Falcon. I don't know if that was in the book from back in
Probably
the
not.
day. Probably not.
None of the books are canon now, I think.
Yeah, like I said, they all moved everything into this thing called, I think, Legends Universe, where they're like, that's the old stuff. We're making new things.
Yeah, so
here.
I mean, okay.
But and then I'll get to that a little bit too in a second here. Obviously they're like back on where Jabba the Hutt. I can't remember where he was at. Was he on Tatooine?
I literally don't remember.
But anyway, we got people fighting on those kind of boats. Like, hey, back to that movie. Remember the third, Return of the Jedi?
Yeah.
And then we got a scene with this medal, which is one of the medals that was given to them at the end of the first movie.
Oh.
So they're like,
I thought
a
it
little
was
bit
the
more.
Golden Compass.
The Golden Compass. And then we got CGI Leia, which we were like, what is she
We have
going
a
to be
CGI
even?
background too?
Exactly. CGI everything, I'm sure.
It's amaze balls.
And then, okay, here's a big thing. Piece of Death Star.
Is that what that's supposed to
That
be?
looks like it's supposed to be the piece of the Death Star.
I see it now. I didn't
Interesting.
get it the first time.
I thought it was a planet.
That would make sense though, because Death Star like was the size of a planet and it exploded, and we hadn't seen any parts of it, which is like
I thought I was on Titan for a second.
And so we got them moving up on it, and so that's another thing where they're like, "Fans, look, Death Star, fun!" And then you get to that part where you see the Death Star, and Luke says,
Fan service.
nobody ever goes away or leaves or whatever it was he says, and then you hear Palpatine laugh, and then you're just like, "What the heck, Palpatine? He's the guy that I hated in the first movie, and I love this." And coming back. Final thing in this trailer that I think that they got the fans excited that might have been slightly not happy about the last movie is the Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Skywalker.
So who the hell is Skywalker?
Is she a Skywalker?
Is she Skywalker now?
Is that why they were hugging? Is that why CG Leia and Rey were hugging?
I've always suspected, even after Last Jedi, like that. Okay, so I'll parallel this with the MCU because like I can follow the MCU. When we left Endgame, like MCU fans, me and our friend Ruth Ann, everybody who went to go see it, were like, "Holy fuck, they just killed everybody!" But then people who didn't follow like the movies and stuff, like they're all gonna be back. They're gonna be back. They don't kill anybody. And I'm like, don't spoil this for me. I'm in it. So like with the Last Jedi. Like they're like, oh, you're just a regular person. I'm like, she's not a regular person. Like, but then the Star Wars fans we were like that I talked to later were like, they couldn't make her a regular person. I was like, I don't think they're gonna stick with that. I think that was like a beat for this movie. So like,
but you kept kind of going back to being like, well, then anybody could be a thing. And
well, that
I
was
feel like
the
they would have.
controversy.
I feel like if Ryan would have made this third one, which he was originally slated to do, he would have continued that. I figured he'd been like,
I don't
oh
know.
no, she's just whatever. And
That
like,
was
I feel like
definitely one of the
JJ is still
controversies.
going back to like, hey, we all the stuff that people liked in the first, from the first one that I did. Let me bring a little bit of that back and
saw
make
this
people happy.
melodramatic drama.
I still think though that I think I don't know if they take back the anybody can be a Jedi thing. I think that'll also be a huge disservice. It's like a huge backseat. But like I think that there's a way to make it work where she's a Skywalker, but also like anybody can be a fucking Jedi. I kind of want them to prove that Luke wasn't really special to begin with. Like he had made himself special. Like I think that'd be really cool. I think that'd be a really strong. To me, that'd be a stronger message than like, well, if you don't got it, you're just gonna be poor the rest of your life. You know,
Your bloodline. I think
It was originally kind of something that went along the bloodline, but then when the prequels came out, they're like, oh, it's
now
also
it's
this
everything else.
midichlorians
But then they
thing
did.
there.
Yeah. Then there was
We can test if whether or not you're Jedi with a blood test.
What
like
was
that.
the,
That's
oh
weird.
yeah, is that what it was?
Yeah, it was a blood test. Yeah,
And God, what movie was that with Samuel L. Jackson?
that's one of the Star Wars one, the
The
Phantom Menace,
clones,
the very first one.
Phantom Menace.
Because that's how
that.
that's when they
You-
found him. They tested him, and they're like, he has the highest midichlorians I have ever seen. Which another thing, the guys, it wasn't. I don't think that was.
I forgot about
the books
that.
originally, but
not at the time, but afterwards, I kind of chalked that up to like, in human history, like medieval medicine wasn't exactly on. Like we believed like bloodletting was a way to let like bad spirits out of your blood.
Right.
Maybe something.
It's like when
similar.
you're sick, they blood let to
Yeah.
make you feel better. It's like
should
using
do
your blood.
cocaine.
Or you maybe just take some antibiotics and you'd be a
right.
little bit better. Like I don't know.
Just
like,
put some newspaper over it.
Either way, I know and I've seen online that there seems to be a lot more people excited about this.
So-
and from just this teaser trailer.
So, like a question, I know I'm probably gonna like this either way because I liked Force Awakens, I liked Last Jedi, so I think the very least I'll like it fine, like mashed potatoes, like buffet mashed potatoes, like Force Awakens would be fine. As a Star Wars fan for yourself, if this disappoints you, are you done with Star Wars, the movies?
I think I'm still going to be done with Star Wars. Like, to be honest, I'm just. It's kind of like in the Matrix movie. That first Matrix is like amazing, and then the second one you're like, what? And then the third one you're like, okay. And then you're like, do I really want to watch 2 and 3 if I go back? Like I showed the first one to my daughters, and they're like, awesome. Is there more? I'm like, no.
I know this. I don't know how popular this opinion is, but I genuinely loved all three. The first one was definitely the strongest. I mean, there's nothing like it. But I
2
liked,
was awesome. I thought
liked
2
that-
was great.
I like that instead of just trying to do kind of like lip service, they actually went the whole philosophical like circle.
Everything.
Like they finished the cycle that they had started at the beginning of the first Matrix movie, like philosophically. But that all being said, I'm not sure what I think of the rumors of this reboot sequel thing happening.
Oh, there's a
maybe
Matrix
happening now.
reyboot?
I think there's talks about it. I don't know. How
They should put Matrix.
I don't know.
bullet
Is it
time
Wachowski's
in
still?
Star Wars?
I honestly don't know. I just heard like murmurings of like they might try to reboot it or like a sequel it or something. I don't know, but I'm just a little.
I see a crossover.
Star Wars Matrix crossover.
I'm just a little like hesitant, mainly because like if you look at the philosophy of the Matrix, there's not a lot of places it can go. It'd have to kind of go on a parallel story or something. Like continuing to be a little weird because it literally just go through another cycle.
Exactly,
ended.
like they talked about in one of the
Yeah.
movies.
But
They're
there's
like,
so
this
many-
has just happened over and over for years.
But if you're into philosophy, I would encourage you to watch the second, all three of them, but especially second 2 and 3 again because there's so many. Like I'm still every time I watch it, there's more philosophical like properties and things explained that like I didn't catch the first time. Like they took a lot of time to like put all that stuff in there.
Like
But,
if you haven't seen the OA, that's kind of
word.
Matrixy in a sense.
kind of.
It's more multi-dimensional than it is. You're in like you're stuck in a one reality, and then when you get out, it's like bugs and shit.
Yeah, the OA is a little bit different than Matrix, but it's similar in the way that like if you just
They're
watch
trying
the
to
first,
escape.
if you just watch
reality.
the first season from beginning to end, during it you're probably like amazed, and when it ends you're like really let down. But then when you watch the second season, you were like, holy crap! Like this second season couldn't have happened with another ending
Without it.
Unlike Heroes, for me, Heroes first season built up so much, and then that ending was such a letdown, and it never really like you could tell it was just like a budgetary thing.
Yeah.
But like the OA, like it may have been budgetary, but like the second season, it feels like reading chapters of a book, and like you're seeing how things like happen, and it couldn't have happened other ways because it's so like tightly written. Like
I feel like Fringe is also kind of in that list of things as well, with the multidimensional kind of like that writing wasn't like trying to escape reality to get to another place like these other two are. So I guess not as much.
If Fringe had the multi-dimension thing, I feel like it was more written like as the show went.
Yeah.
The OA feels like Britt Marling has written the show, or she has it all up in her head.
It's there.
Because there's too many things to tie together.
It's so tightly wound.
Yeah, like there's no like thread left uncounted in the show. It's crazy.
I know you didn't like the end of the first season of Heroes. But I loved the end of the first season of Heroes. Like I know that like there was a lot of stuff that you were like, all right, I want to see all these guys starting kicking some butt, and then like nothing really happened. And you're
Peter
like,
Petrelli.
they're supposed to be heroes, right?
Yeah, like I would if I could like have something that I didn't get in the original run of Heroes is I remember there was that end of the first season, but then I forget what other season it was. Peter Petrelli and someone else, maybe Seiler, like they left a room and then the door closed and you just see like light flashes under the door. So it like kind of implies that they were
fighting. I think it's the first season.
And I'm like, it wasn't the first because you didn't see Seiler that early, did you?
Yeah, he was there, and
I don't know, maybe. Okay.
yeah, I think it was like a flash forward or flash back or something like that, and then you see them like
for some
fight.
reason, I felt like it was another season because they hadn't taken that. I don't know. Either way, like that scene, I was like, I want to see the other side of that door.
Yeah.
Like, I just never got to see like the heroes have like one big CG battle. Like,
Yeah.
which I get. I mean, I still love the show. I mean, even though everybody else like hated it by the time it ended, but like I don't know,
I remember Hero showed up. There's a guy actually named Hero. If you've ever seen this show,
Yeah.
Hiro, and he showed up and he was like a badass from the future Hero, and he's like in the all leather with like his swords, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Peter," and he's like,
And he spoke English.
I spoke like without an accent, like. It's just weird. I think that was that same episode where he shows up.
okay.
But the ending, I don't know. I think I almost cried in it just because if you've never seen it, fast forward 10 seconds. Like Peter's brother like saves him, like because Peter's like I'm gonna explode or whatever, and Peter's brother's like no, you're the good one. You stay here. I'm gonna do it, and so he dies for it, like kind of deal.
Like the sentiment I get because it was a soap opera writer that wrote the show.
Yeah.
But because didn't he wrote some other like CW show? I forget what it was. It was some like family drama kind of thing, which I get.
Seventh Heaven.
Almost. It wasn't that
Is
exactly.
that was
something like
WB,
that.
right?
Was it?
But it was. I understand why they got him because it was something that it was that interconnected, thing. But they didn't. They needed someone else to have like the sci-fi element. In there. Anyway, that's.
I just remember waiting because the name of the show is called Heroes, and I'm like waiting. Where's the heroes at?
Right.
Yeah.
Like when are they gonna show up?
Oh, so I mentioned earlier Mila Jovovich and the Vincent I'd seen Hellboy. Won't spend too much time talking about it, but I know people want to hear like thoughts about it. I thought it was a lot of fun. If you tuned into Nerd Rage with Geek Chic, our friends Chris and Ruth Ann, I was in the chat kind of like giving my 2 cents about it. I don't think it was a bad movie. I don't think it was a good movie. To me, it was pretty much Aquaman, but with fire instead of water. Like, because visually, there was a lot of really cool stuff. Like, if you stay through the credits, well, if you go see it, you might as well stay through credits because there's like an end credit thing.
Oh, weird.
Like, right. Like, they actually turned the theater lights on before this. So we actually thought there wasn't going to be something. They turned the theater lights on, they start cleaning the theater, and then the end scene happened. So, like, there's something at the very end. But the credits, there's so many like CG compositors on it. There's like so much CG work. David Harbour, I don't know if it was him or CG artist or makeup artist, or whatever, but Hellboy's facial expressions were hands down the best part of the movie. It looked like they were lifted from comic book panels of his facial expressions. And they also kind of look like that they had set up the entire scene to arrive at those expressions. And I had mentioned on Chris and Ruth Ann's live stream that it was kind of like, if you either go like a little high or if you go with like headphones and just play Iron Maiden the whole time, it's like 1-2 hour badass music video. Like,
So basically, it's kind of like a Wizard of Oz thing with Pink Floyd, where you're like,
Kind
hold
of,
on, I'll watch this
Wizard of
movie
Oz
with
is like a good movie.
Iron Maiden on.
It just like there's so much visual stuff happening, but you can't think about the sequence of events because there is a plot technically, but like it's so disjointed. It feels like the storyteller changes every 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so you're like, so you know, well, you have kids. Like I have like nieces and nephews. It's
Yeah,
like all of them are around you trying to tell the same story. You know, that's what it felt like in movie form.
Yeah.
Like, and then there was a witch, and then then they found the psychic, and then Hellboy, he went.
And
to
at some point, you're just like,
That's kind of what it felt
Oh, look,
like.
pizza.
And then minor spoiler, it's not. It doesn't really do a lot with the plot, but there's a psychic in Hellboy that's like his sidekick, kind of. I think she's aware she's in a movie because at one point, Hellboy, Mila Jovovich is the Blood Queen. She's the main villain, and the plot of the movie, the only plot of the movie is that the beginning is. She's a big evil. She could take over the world with like plagues and stuff.
Yeah, she's like a 16th or 6th
they kind of
generation witch or something like
they
that.
kind of explain that she's responsible for the Black Plague. Like, so you can't really kill her. So the only way to do it is King Arthur took Excalibur and cut her into several pieces. They cut her head off, cut her arms off, and her legs off, and then put them in separate caskets and spread them around the world so she can never be reassembled. And so, of course, like centuries later, Hellboy is like trying to prevent someone else,
Some crazy person going, I'm going to put it back together.
And so, like, Hellboy's talking to this psychic sidekick, and he's like, what do we need to do to defeat her? And she says something to the effect of, like, kill her enough to make sure she doesn't come back for the sequel. And I was like, was that, like, a weird British, like, statement? Or does she know she's in a movie?
It's like a Deadpool thing?
I kind of thought that because it was just shy. I felt like I need to go watch it again, see if she actually did this. But in my head, I thought that she started to, like, glance at the camera and then didn't. Like, she's like, so, like,
wink.
yeah, or maybe it was just the tone of voice. She's like, well, obviously we got to kill her enough so she doesn't come back in the sequel.
Yeah.
You know, like
I dug it. I thought the overall plot was just that, it just worked because that was the overall plot, but the like subplots is what kind of made it confusing, and then adding too many characters at once was also another thing that kind of made you the processing very slow through the movie. You're like, so he's the what, and you're the and you're supposed to, and then he's supposed to do what?
I had a lot of questions.
Yeah,
and
that's what it is. Like,
because they keep introducing things, and they're like, where did that come from?
You keep
Probably
questioning
like a comic book thing to
the
where they're
whole
like, let's try
movie.
to shove as many,
But then there were things that they explained in great detail that didn't amount to anything in my eyes that like forwarded the plot a whole lot. Are you going to see this movie?
Nope.
Okay, so I don't know if this is part of the comic book lore or whatever, but so King Arthur is like canon in this world, and he is the one that slays the Blood Queen. They introduced him at the beginning of the movie, like centuries before, and so you don't know like in what aspect, but you're like, okay, well, King Arthur is like related to like Hellboy or like the sidekick or something. Like obviously, like there's why would they even introduce this whole story plot line, and like specifically make it that it's King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and stuff. And then they like reveal like the big twist, quote unquote, in the movie is that like King Arthur actually like had a kid with someone, and then that daughter begat another daughter, and begot a daughter that like somehow escaped to hell and like fucked Satan, and then had a kid, and now it's Hellboy.
Oh god.
So like he's like the
But
product of
then-
either Satan or a demon, and like one of King Arthur's descendants, and I'm like, okay.
But then he was only summoned by that one person
Baba.
in this like
this
circle of
witch.
Nazis. Like,
Oh yeah, that thing.
so like that's none of that shit made sense at
Well,
all.
the Nazi thing was from the original movies.
Okay,
Remember
yeah,
that.
there was the Nazi thing, but like them summoning Hellboy, even though he is the product of the devil and the girl, like, and then him coming out of the rock, like, what did he like?
I think
None of that stuff
so that was the
connects.
thing. I think they were just summoning like demons in general, and
Yeah.
something went wrong, and that's why Hellboy. They ended up with like an infant,
Or maybe
But,
he like zapped from hell.
But my point of that was that there was really no consequence for him being a descendant of King Arthur. It was just like a weird side, like isn't that kind of cool? And it's like, but why did you explain that in such great detail, but didn't explain to me like
Because he could,
any of the other characters? Like, there's
Yeah.
a power that the psychic has where if someone's recently deceased, she can touch them. And then it's hard to explain, but she vomits out like their soul that's like half spirit, half like a corpse.
intestines.
Yeah, it like comes out of her intestines and like comes out of her mouth, and it's like all wet and sloppy and stuff. And then the person can talk for like the dead person can talk for a short period of time, and then like re-enters her body, and then she starts throwing up, and it's like, okay, what was that? Like, what happened? She even says it. That's another reason I think she knows she's in a movie, because they're like, "Are you all right?" She's like, "I just fucking like vomited a dead soul. What do you
Yeah.
think?" I'm like, what just happened? Like, I don't know what that was. It was just like,
And then
hurried
she's like-
exposition.
She was punching spirits out of people.
Yeah, I So that was another thing. So the whole movie, she doesn't have any. So they start revealing like little powers that kind of connect with the psychic. I don't know what the whole throwing up a spirit thing had to do, but it was like the closest thing I could think of, like when a psychic like holds a seance and then like summon a spirit. Maybe that was their visual description. But then yeah, they were fighting, and she starts punching these undead people, and this in like. There's like
The
Hellboy.
spirits.
So like Hellboy obviously like just like slashes them up and they.
Yeah.
By the way, this movie is a hard R rating. They start cursing 10 seconds of the movie and don't stop, and the violence is so gratuitous. You can't go like 5 minutes without like Mortal Kombat X ridiculous level of violence, and it's all very realistic. Like if you ever imagined what it would be like if a giant like walked through a town, it's like it's
slaughtered people.
well, it's like ants. Like people are like ants. You just see like sides of heads and intestines. And stuff. Like it's insanely
There's
realistic.
a lot of corpses.
But yeah, so they're fighting in like this forest, and like Hellboy's just slashing through people, like these undead people and stuff. But then yeah, the psychic starts like hitting them, and their spirits like leave their body, and then they just fall. I'm like, what was that? I want to know more about that power.
Even she was like, "Oh shit, what is this that I couldn't do that before?" Like
that was the thing. Like she had all the questions that I had. You know, she was like, I just vomited a spirit. Like
even the people in the movie were confused.
so, I don't know. Like, but all that complaining or criticism of the movie, like
Right.
I still had a good time. I think it's kind of worth it. But so one of our friends, Sparky, like posted like he had like $4 ticket codes for Hellboy. I'm like, you know what? If you get that code, you won't be disappointed. I think
Yeah.
if you paid, like, I wouldn't pay like a premium price to see it. Like, you know, we're like Vince and I are part of AMC A-List, so like we pretty much see movies like every week with no difference in cost.
We can see up to 3 a week.
But like if we were on like a regular ticket, and if I had thought, oh, maybe this would be a cool movie to see in IMAX and pay $25 to see it, I think I'd have been really upset. But
Yeah.
like if you're paying like some sort of discounted price or it's like less than $10, I think you'll have a good time if you like that kind of stuff.
I really enjoyed being in the Dolby. What was it? The Dolby.
We were in the Dolby Cinema.
That
Burbank one.
That's really great. It's got the
I
subwoofers.
tried to get in that with Infinity, with Endgame,
yeah.
and I just couldn't.
No,
It's got the subwoofers in the chairs
Yeah.
But
and on the ceiling.
But the two things is if you can't handle like a lot of violence, then not for you. And if you don't like a lot of like strong language, then it's definitely not for you. But if you're in the sci-fi world, you like metal music videos and lots of violence.
Oh yeah.
Like you'll just have a good time.
Yeah.
You just can't think about the plot.
What did the audience give us? 63. So that's over half.
Yeah.
Obviously, the critics effing hated it, but
Yeah, it got 65. The audience liked
65.
it. So, I mean, that's not horrible, but it's still like
No.
a D.
so like yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a passable movie. Well, I guess a D isn't really passing,
I will
or
say
maybe it
the-
is.
The I can't remember her name. Is like Baba something. Is the witch that's in the house that walks?
Oh
Is it
yeah.
Baba Yaga from
Yes.
Is,
It's Baba Yaga.
Seriously?
It's Baba Yaga. Is that a known thing?
No, that's from. I didn't know it was real. I thought it was Ant-Man 2. Remember when he's like Baba Yaga? Ooh. Then the ghost girl shows up in Ant-Man 2 and like takes his stuff, and he's like, oh, Baba Yaga.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, she's
real.
She's a character in this movie.
I didn't know that was a real
she,
character.
She
ever.
was the
That
coolest.
was just
She
made
wasn't
up.
really a villain. She was kind of like a side villain that you can tell that's going to be like a problem in the future if they do a sequel. But her scenes, that animation of her character was so Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
It's like it was that part was actually cinematically beautiful. Those scenes where she's talking, whoever did that character, it almost felt like it was directed by a completely different entity.
Nice.
Like that was really really cool. Bobby, I didn't. Yeah, this,
Wow. Yeah.
I remember
you
that
know
name.
Baba Yaga?
Now that you mentioned that, it kind of gave me the same vibe that Dusk Till Dawn, till Dusk Till Dawn, or whatever that movie was that he also did, Guillermo.
Oh.
And or no, was that
No,
So-
that's
that was Tarantino.
So this movie, another little like last teaser I'll put in there. There's a moment where he actually gets Excalibur since he's a descendant of Arthur. When
he could take it out of the stone.
When he first touches that sword, he has like this vision or flash forward or something, and I won't even try to begin to describe it. Like, just hang on, because that is the most over. Like, I laughed like a hyena when that happened, but also was like, this is ridiculously awesome. Like, it's so stupid. It was just like, it would have been stupid for them to try to make it logistically work in the movie. They were just like, F it. We're just going to do it. Like, it is, you want to see this scene. So we're just going to throw it in there.
That's what I was going to say. Because it's almost like they were like, yo, last movie, you only saw him with the horns and the fire and the crown and all that for a little bit. So this time, we're going to do this whole big-ass scene
like, I
where
guarantee
you see all of it.
When this movie goes to home release, that clip will be one of the most highly viewed YouTube videos ever. Like, it's such an amazing... but stupid, ridiculous, doesn't make any logistical sense. If you're trying to think about like what's happening in it, like nothing makes sense. But it's just a bunch of visual like vomit that's amazing, like. So it's stupid, but it's ridiculously fun, like that scene. So I to me that was like the best part in itself, but not with the rest of the movie necessarily.
Yeah,
it was so sudden and jarring, but it was like, you know what, just gonna drop it in here. Like
I remember going. We go to the House of no. House of Secrets Comics in Burbank quite a bit, and I usually take the girls, and when they were younger, they just pick random comics,
Nice.
and so I remember Ari picked up like they used to do like little kids comics, and it was like this little drawings of like Hellboy, and it was like a lot of DC stuff. They used to go like Little Titans, I think the ones Ari used to read, and they had she picked up Little Hellboy or something like that, and I was like, all right, whatever. And then she also picked up My Little Pony.
Nice.
And we go up front, and the lady behind me, she's I don't know. I felt like she's just being a super snob, but she was like, "Oh, I hope that girl picks the Little Hellboy one and not the My Little Pony." Like, look at her
Whoa.
boyfriend. Like, yeah.
I
was just
don't
like,
understand why fans won't let people just be fans of other things. Like,
just like people enjoy things. But that's what I always remember. I know I was never really a big fan of Hellboy. I didn't really read the comics, so I'd
I've
actually
never read the
love to.
comics,
If you guys have read any Hellboy or know anything about it, like I was never really interested, nor would I think my parents would let me probably read it when we were younger. X-Men alone was already creepy enough for my parents, especially my mom. But it was like
Mutants.
but before we run out of time, I think this is a good segue into one of the other things we want to talk about, since this is the release date's coming up here. So we said like Hellboy has like these Mortal Kombat levels of violence. So Mortal Kombat 11 is coming out.
Yeah.
By the time you hear this, it'll only be a couple days. I'm excited because I love Mortal Kombat, but I'm extra excited for two other reasons. This is the first like Mortal Kombat release I've been like following the hype for since Mortal Kombat 3. So it's been literally 20 years since I followed this fandom. So like I'm so excited. Like as soon as people were talking about like there might be a new Mortal Kombat game coming out, I started like keeping my radar up, and then the day they announced it, I was like there, like and then our manager almost got us into the announcement event, in Burbank.
sweet.
We were in talks with the guy that was the Luke. Will you tell him? I can't remember the damn
that thing
details.
might not happen. We can't talk about it yet because it might not happen. But then we followed all that stuff, and then they did something brilliant. They like utilized the internet to like market it. Go figure. So like Mortal Kombat started like the NetherRealm Studios, who's doing the game, started doing a live stream almost every week where they would reveal like 1, 2, or 3 more like new characters. They'd give them their own trailer, and then they would spend the live stream with one of the developers who would explain the lore, and then also play through the character and kind of show like technically what's happening in there. Like these are the things you can do to like their strengths and weaknesses, and you can do combos and stuff, but also like this is the story and stuff. So it's been really exciting because I haven't been this excited for fandom since I was 11 when Mortal Kombat came out, like 2 came out. Then the next thing was like Kitana was always my favorite character, and so I was kind of waiting because it was unlikely they weren't going to include her because she's kind of like Liu Kang or Scorpion or Sub-Zero. Like if you don't put one of those characters in the game, it's just not going to be a successful version of the game.
Yeah.
So, but they kept not announcing her. They announced like other characters, like vague characters and stuff. New characters.
It's like a band that's like the one hit wonder. They're like, well, play that song. They wait till the very, very end. Like, there it is.
And so like they finally put out this trailer for the TV commercials, and she was in it, but they didn't announce that she was going to be in the game yet. We're like, wait, what? Like, but she was like the main character, her and Scorpion. And then finally this Friday they did a combat cast, and they officially announced her, and she looks freaking amazing.
Do you think they did that on purpose? Like they
that's what
accidentally
last-
leaked it?
Oh no, it wasn't. It was like a TV commercial. Like I think I don't know if it was just out of order or they purposely like kind of didn't announce it officially. But
It'd be like a pre-internet thing because I'm sure they know that people would be like, "Wait a minute, what?" And then obviously a billion videos on. Did you see that one thing on whatever YouTube?
Also, like one of the
good
developers,
theory.
one of the developers of Mortal Kombat 11, is the former world champion as Katana, like or several championships of Katana, like one of the leading things. So it's really cool. Like now, like 20 years later,
Is Ronda still?
Ronda Rousey is Sonya Blade.
Okay.
The voice of Shang Tsung is the guy that played him in the movies.
Oh, cool.
Your soul is mine.
And then there's other voices that are like, I don't know video game voice actors. I think there's some politics going on. There's some people returned, some didn't and stuff. But with Katana, like it's weird. I put this in a post on my personal socials, but like all of the characters, but specifically Katana, have always been like kind of like ethnically vague because literally over half of them are from another world.
Yeah.
So like Katana canonically is from Edenia, so she's Edenian. Her race is fictional. So I think the original Katana was like a Cuban woman, and then
Didn't they have like an Italian girl too? Or
no,
something?
it's been Cuban, and then there was like a German Puerto Rican woman who played her. Like there's been like, and then but this, even though then they hit the 3D era, so they weren't actors anymore. But now like the way that CG's gone, like it's so detailed, you can actually start seeing like ethnic like characteristics and stuff.
Yeah.
This is probably the first time, and I thought of this because of a previous podcast where you'd mentioned like, isn't Katana like Chinese or something?
Yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
I figured like for some odd reason I thought she might be like Asian, just
Yeah.
because the the
It's
word,
like a ninja,
word
it's like-
katana, ninja,
yeah, and a lot of the characters were
I don't
Asian
know.
and stuff, and so like I thought of it because I was like, oh, I could see that, but like she has never really been pinned down as that. This time when they did a reveal, she is so distinctively East Asian, like it's at least in appearance, even though like
Yeah.
she's still a fictional race. It was like that's really cool to see that. It's not just because like I'm also Asian, but like it's neat to see them kind of carry on the tradition of like these are fictional races and characters. They could just be anybody.
You hit on some facial expressions in Hellboy. This game, like the facial expressions in the CG, the level of detail is just astronomically
This
crazy. It's ridiculous.
This game is like 1 or 2 clicks away from just being a feature film.
Yeah.
Like it's not perfect. It couldn't be like a feature film, but if they like fine tune some of like the facial movements and stuff, they could just use this to make a movie. Like
How many gigs did you say the game was?
well, so this is
I wanted to bring that
so
up.
once again, so on the Switch version, once again, I don't know if this is typical or not or whatever because I haven't followed any games for 20 years. But the cartridge for Mortal Kombat 11 is like 6 gigs, but then the downloadable content's like 15 or 16 gigs
That's
to play the game.
nuts.
Yeah.
So the total game's like 25 gigs. I guess the size of it's kind of large, but like I didn't realize that supplemental material being larger than the actual game.
But that's
Like,
how
like-
like that's how gaming's kind of been for the last like
Okay.
10,
Yeah.
15, I don't know about 15, but 10 years to where like they're completely, I don't think the new systems that they've been talking about have like CDs or places to plug crap into.
So it's all
It's just going to all be
downloadable?
downloaded.
Interesting.
They're practically like moving away, just basically they're becoming PCs, to be honest.
Well, you can get just a download version of MK11, but I guess they decided to go with like a cheaper cartridge that just has the 6 gigs on it. Or
Yeah.
something.
But they want you to download the DLC, and like they'll hey, this game's only $50 or
Oh.
$60, and then the DLC is
It's not even DLC; it's required gameplay.
Is
The
it?
stuff you
Okay.
have to download.
DCL?
So
What?
it's the day one download. It's the 15 gig. The extra 15 gigs is just to be able to play the game.
Oh, okay. So
you-
it's not even like
you can't play it out of the
extras.
box.
Okay.
Like,
Woo.
or that's
Sorry.
what they said at least. But I thought that was really
I like how we're two fisting.
I know, right?
I thought that was like really cool because they like that the game's still going on like over 25, 26 years later.
It's amazing. This is
And-
the only one out of all the fighting games I have ever seen
Street Fighter.
reach this length.
Street Fighter's still kind of around.
Yeah,
Are
Street
they still
Fighter's-
releasing Street Fighter? That's crazy
but
too.
it's fun. Well, Street Fighter 2 specifically. Street Fighter 2 has gone on 50 versions or
Yes.
something. But Mortal Kombat it's interesting because it kind of had like its awkward teen years and then it's like getting cool again. Like it was really cool in the first trilogy. Those 3D years are a little sketchy.
Oof.
And then like MK9, which they rebooted as like Mortal Kombat,
Yeah.
like got cool again. And this MK11 is just like mind blowing. Like how like
10 was cool. That's
I
how
remember-
we got introduced to all the being able to work with the habitat and all that.
But
I don't know if what was the one with the weapons? The newer Mortal Kombat
Well,
where they had weapons.
They introduced weapons, I think, in the 3D era. I can't remember because I didn't really play those games. But they like the new trilogy. Like this is the third of the new trilogy. So the last 2 games also had like weapons and things.
yeah.
So that was kind of cool. But like what I thought was really interesting, and I used to hate this. Like when you have actors in movies, you want to see like the same actor like throughout.
Yeah. Continuity.
A bug just flew in my mouth. But then I started like really appreciating how they kept evolving design, because there's like 4 or 5 years between these games sometimes. So they would like, instead of trying to like keep the same look, like I said, like Kitana in this game is like so clearly East Asian, but in the previous ones she was a little bit more vague. She might have been like a mixed Caucasian, something.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, it's also like lower quality. You know, you can't see the pixels completely.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so as far as like this, like I think they even had like a. I'm not going to pronounce this right, but the like the Day of the Dead,
Dia de los Muertos,
version of Kitana in MKX.
That's cool.
So it kind of hinted that she might be relatively Latin American. Like I don't know, like but I like that. Even though there's like continuity going on between all the games and specifically this trilogy, the characters themselves kind of like go through these various evolutions where they don't stay like. The fact that Ronda Rousey's like voicing the last Sonya Blade in this trilogy, but not the first two, like I know that's probably not cool for the original Sonya Blade voice actor. But, like, it's kind of a neat. Like, whenever they have an opportunity to like up the ante, they do, or like change something. This game specifically, I think the biggest controversy about MK11 before it even came out or is coming out is that the graphic designers made a very clear decision to not over-sexualize the female characters. Which, whatever you think of that, I think is a kind of a cool move, just to keep changing things up. The graphic designer, I don't know if they had worked on the other games as well, but in Mortal Kombat, it's kind of a tradition to have the bikini ninjas, which I won't lie, I liked. When Kitana was first introduced, she was in a one piece, then it gradually got to like 2 pieces to like lace, and I think at one point Melina is completely nude with just bandages.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever play Killer Instinct?
Oh yeah.
Or, like Orchid is just like
Orchid has shorts on, I guess. Like,
I guess, but it's that outfit is almost just like this skin.
Yeah.
You know, like-
Well, but not to say that like is not like the Mortal Kombat girls haven't turned into nuns in this one, but like I don't know. This is kind of weird to say, but like Scarlet and Kitana and Jade and stuff, they're like their breast sizes are like realistic. Like, and they're wearing like even though they're kind of like in like form-fitting clothes, like Kitana's wearing like her legs are covered like she's going into battle. So like the graphic designer had said something to the effect on Twitter that they're like we have a story where these people are fighting for their lives and for like humanity and their worlds, and like why would they be dressed? Why would they be in bikinis when they're doing that? They're fighting for their lives, you know. So like they went like a little edge to like. Let's try to make the women, the female
give them
characters,
freaking armor.
Well, they're not even in armor. They're like, let's just put them in like a bodysuit, at least, or something like where they're not just like. Katana carries like fans that are razor blades that can impale someone or decapitate them. Like she can't just be willy nilly around her bare legs.
Yeah,
with that crap, you know. Like so, it was a interesting decision. I thought like so far all the female characters, like Scarlet looks awesome, Kitana looks amazing without having to be in like lace. Like attaching her like Tomb Raider boobs, you know, like it's just a cool like alternative because she's still super attractive. Like I love it. Like
I watched a YouTube video not too long ago, and it was like, why, like, if they made specific medieval armor for women, would it look like they do like we do today when we go, hey, we make these you know Xena looking princess warrior stuff, like where it's obviously like a corset or whatever.
It was like a armored corset.
It's like, would it work and would they do it? And like he went back and been like, basically, he's like
even Wonder Woman, her armor is freaking awesome.
Well, like what the guy was like showing is like this stuff actually was made so it could fit a wide variety of people. He's like, and so like there's enough area within most of the stuff that you could fit your boobs.
Yeah. Like, well, that's what the whole story of Joan of Arc was.
Just tuck them under your armpits. It's all good.
You duct tape them down.
It's funny. Josh pulled up this picture of Orchid. I remember this now. I like
that is so realistic.
Yeah.
Those. Yeah.
Look at how it looked like I could put like a Cheerio where her waist is around her waist.
But it's funny. I didn't remember until you pulled this picture up like how pronounced her nipples are. Like it's yeah. She's got some fan service there.
She's got We'll
I just remember
leave
seeing
it
this
there.
when I was little, being like, "What?"
Yeah,
I was like 10.
Yeah, like it's either you're a boobs guy or you're a butt guy for this picture.
You got both going on there.
I'm all the way down bottom here. I'm good with that.
Ogling the orchid.
We should stop.
But regardless, I don't know. I'm super excited for this Mortal Kombat 11 release.
So I'm actually kind of getting hyped too, and I'm not really like a huge Mortal Kombat fan, but all the things that Rod's been showing me, all the fatalities and the what do you call the X-rays? I guess they are or used to be.
In this one, they're called fatal blows.
So
like they have this feature where if you get down to your last 30% of your health, then you have this move that goes absolutely insane on someone that should kill them. But like there's things where like you get impaled through the brain, but then you just get back up and start fighting.
But isn't the whole thing with Mortal Kombat though? Like you're getting like impaled with every single hit.
I just can't figure out. Well, so real quick, that's what happens in Hellboy, by the way. I don't know how it happens. Like he gets impaled so many times.
He
Literally,
does.
There's one scene
all the way through him.
He gets stabbed all the way through his body, his heart, and internal organs and stuff. Like in the matter of like 20 seconds, at least 12 times.
He's got like Wolverine's heel factor.
And he just
though.
walks around. But
actually, even faster, I think.
The thing straight through the chest, really, I don't know how you come back from. Anyway, but
That
that
just can't be stopped.
kind of. But he does get stopped.
He gets hurt, and he definitely feels it. Because there's a point where like something like grazes his hand, and he goes, "Ow!" Like,
the holy water.
Yeah.
Yeah, they guard some of the, so the caskets that the witch's body parts are in are sealed with holy water, so that like things like Hellboy can't touch them.
That's right.
Which I'm sorry to interrupt. Like the whole splitting apart the woman into so many pieces and scattering her around the world. That makes me think of like a Castlevania like thing. Didn't they do that in Castlevania? Where like
Probably.
they had to
Sounds
put
familiar.
they put the Dracula back together by
So-
taking the pieces from
I
around the
think
world.
so, yeah.
That was another thing that I felt like they went to great lengths to explain that it happened.
Yeah.
But then I expected that to be the driving plot of the movie. So
They skipped.
the intro was like, and then they dispersed her parts into 7 regions of the earth. And then when the movie happens, they're like, oh, we found them. And then they just put her back together. I was like, I wanted to see that journey to get her back together. Like, I felt like that was going to be like the movie, the way they set it up. They might as well just have banished her to hell and then brought her back.
That fairy pig is fast as crap because he was able to collect all those boxes while Hellboy was basically being told by his father his how he came to be. Like the whole first half of the movie, the fairy pigs collecting the boxes while Hellboy's learning about himself.
And if what we just described doesn't make any sense, that's as much as we're given in the movie. Fairy pigs and boxes and all that stuff.
And revenge and all these little tiny subplots that don't really you don't care at the end.
Anyway, get back to the Mortal Kombat features. Vince was saying I was showing him some stuff. Like, I think that's what's kind of cool is like there's a lot of cool fan service. Like they have Katana and Scorpion and Baraka and stuff back. But then like these characters have like these features that I think anybody that sees them on the outside, like that's pretty cool. Like they have
Who's
this,
that
they have this
spider
guy,
chick?
Oh, well, that's Devora. But they have this new character named Garrus who's like kind of like a Time Lord almost. And so there's a scene in the trailer where he gets his like head cut off as a fatality. You're like, okay, he's dead. And Kung Lao's like, well, that was easy. And then since he can control time, like the sands of time like whirl around his head and like reverse time to before he got impaled, and then they just continue to fight and he avoids that situation. And it was like, how is this going to work into gameplay? Like that's such a weird that's such like a I don't know, like a weird like left turn for fighters. Like, so this character can actually like reverse the clock in the game.
Weird.
Like, and then there's another character named Cetrion. She's like Mother Earth, so she can summon like rocks out of the earth and fire, and like she can like put vines in the earth.
Water.
One of her fatalities they showed in the trailer was she like basically crucifies someone onto a tree, like impales their head and their hands to a tree, and then she grows to like such a large size that she goes into outer space and can hold the earth in her hands, and then she shoots like an energy beam out of her mouth, and just obliterates the person on Earth. It was like, what is this? We should so ridiculous.
Freaking watch it. It's ridiculous.
Cocaine. Like, all right, what could we think of?
Yeah.
Right? But
Talk about a finishing move, and then he gets back up and starts fighting again.
So
No, just playing.
The character that Vince was talking about, Devora, she's like, if you imagine like thousands and thousands of like flies or insects, like flying insects, like that are like a hive mind that form a person.
Devora, got it.
So that's what she is. And then like in this trailer, they showed like a new gameplay aspect where like she dies, but then when her body falls back, a giant bug like emerges from the husk of her body. And then there's this giant like bee thing that starts fighting. It's
that
not
you
even
fight
human,
as, for the last like 30% of your life or whatever it is.
I don't know what it is. Everybody like saw that trailer and was like, "What the hell just
That
happened?"
was
Like,
crazy. But things like this make me interested in that game.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like it's out of left field. You're like, what the? This is even like, of course, the gore and the blood, like it shocked you in the first one,
Yeah.
and then it got better in the second and third.
I don't
But,
know
like,
if it
they
would,
come
like-
back with this stuff. They're like, here's something else, and then you're like, whoa, what the heck? This is different.
Like I may play for like a couple months or whatever, and then get through like all what the characters can do, and then like the hype kind of comes down for me. But like, I want to do that. I want to play
I'll just
all the
watch all the
characters.
cutscenes on YouTube. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
there's
what
a
I
thing
do
about
normally.
doing
I'm
them.
gonna
too,
watch
though.
all the cutscene. Well, it's not even the story mode in from the first two in this trilogy because I need to catch up, and I can't play through them. I think they said this one there's going to be about 8 hours of cinematic
Wow.
in, so it's basically gonna be watching
It's
like
a
a
whole
TV series.
plot.
That's why
yeah.
it's 25 gigs.
I think so. Yeah,
But
You're right.
this is kind of paralleling to the Star Wars thing. I don't know, I can't speak for all of MK fandom, but I dug this. They kind of, for Mortal Kombat, this new trilogy, they like turned it on its head. So like, Raiden wins. I forget if it was Mortal Kombat 9 or 10. He wins, and he's always been the good god. Like he's been the god of
Yeah.
thunder. He protects Earth. So in one of the ends of the games, to save Earth, he absorbs like the demonic spirits, and he becomes like the big bad of the game. It just turns it on its head. Liu Kang becomes like a reincarnated like evil soul and stuff, and he starts ruling over. It's crazy. Like all the
Jax.
the good character. Oh yeah, Jax gets his arms. You see his get his arms ripped off so he can get the metal arms and stuff. Like they just start
And then
turning
they do
everything around.
different things now. They like start to glow in this game.
So that was So you know Jax, look at the big black guy with the metal arms.
Yeah.
Like in the trailer, they show him like this might have been in previous games, but I hadn't seen it. He starts fighting, and then the more he's fighting, like his arms are heating up because of all the physical force. And then he just starts doing more damage. The like hotter the arms get. Like it's ridiculous.
It's really cool.
That's pretty sweet.
Oh, and I forgot this thing that Josh pulled up in the combat cast they did this Friday. They announced that there will be weapons and other like accessories, like mostly weapons that you can buy for the characters. But they said that you're not required to purchase them. You can play through the game without having to like buy extra stuff. You can like shortcut some things by buying things, but overall, NetherRealm Studios they said they're not going to do any loot drops or anything like that. They want you to be able to like play the game as is, but then enhance it with stuff you buy.
I think that's really cool, and it's like another thing that we're seeing more and more often in video games now. They have this like in-game currency that you could buy things and whatnot. Will this like also be in the internet side of Mortal Kombat as well, or is it?
So what they said was anything that you can do besides just leveling up like normal, like anything that you buy to augment your character won't apply like to online play. So you can't just have like a rich person have like a really badass character. But I don't know, like this is kind of new ground for me, like having like online play and stuff. It's actually kind of exciting because also like I had mentioned this, I don't know at what point before, but like somehow Mortal Kombat's like the Spice Girls of the video game world because it's like the most anticipated game for like the last 6 to 7 months, and somehow no one in my geographic vicinity is excited about it.
Yeah, where are you guys?
But I'm excited, and so is apparently like millions of other people.
Where are they?
I've seen a lot of it all over the place. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just kind of weird.
So we see that at bus stops and stuff, like any places, movie
Large promotion.
ads and things.
It's
But
you had mentioned something a few days ago, Rod, about the same billboard you see your favorite movies on. You saw your favorite game on.
yeah, and it's just really cool because, like I mentioned previously, like it's been 20 some odd years since I followed this like fandom, and I felt this excited about it. And I don't know, it's really cool.
Like if I saw My Little Pony on a big billboard, I would literally pee myself.
That was last year.
Oh my God, that's
movie.
right. I forgot about that. It's horrible.
I feel like LA is made though. Like I feel like there's almost practically buildings physically made of billboards, like in LA, because you just turn around and
I think you can rent them out like Airbnb style now.
In
No, just play.
in buildings in downtown there's this one huge building that has a big mural that I don't know how they change so frequently.
Yeah.
'Cause it's a skyscraper and they change it almost weekly.
I heard that it's illegal to do that, and that the guy that does that they just wrap it up in court for so long that like "Well, the movie's over by now. Next
Yeah.
one." You know, like,
Wow,
But,
yeah, I wonder the logistics of that.
Vince and I host a show on Mob Crush on Tuesdays, and the next stream will be the release day of Mortal Kombat 11. We're probably not going to be able to play that game on the stream because, A, the violence level, but B, the logistics of getting these like new games downloaded and set up and all this stuff. But we're definitely playing Mortal Kombat 3 for Sega Genesis, and we have one of our really good friends, Dan Doby, who's like the biggest Mortal Kombat 3 fan on earth. So excited to have him. He's a creator that you've seen his work. You might not know his face. He acts sometimes, but he's done Aces commercials. He's produced documentaries.
Yeah.
Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, all that stuff.
He's the man of many talents, mostly behind the camera, but the guy's freaking amazing.
He's literally one of like 2 other people that I know personally. They're actually excited about Mortal Kombat as like a property. So super excited to have them in there for like Mortal Kombat Tuesday. So back in the 90s, it was Mortal Mondays when the game came out.
I didn't know.
It was like,
that's cool.
Like phonetically, but
Mortal Mondays.
that was that ad campaign where the kid ran the street, Mortal Kombat, because it was Mortal Monday.
Oh gosh.
I don't remember this at all.
So, well, you remember the commercials like Mortal Kombat? The
yeah,
kids,
I
like,
think,
ran the
but I
street.
remember Mortal Mondays.
Like Mortal Monday, yeah, because that's when it came out for all home consoles. So it's kind of cool. Like we're gonna be able to do our stream, the only stream that for some reason will let us do Mortal Kombat or play it at all. Because every other live stream that we've been part of is like no Mortal Kombat.
Is it just because of violence? Or?
No, I think it's just because they don't like it. They say it's not popular.
It's
like,
a
I literally had this
religion
conversation.
thing. I don't
There's
know.
one game
No, I'm
stream.
just playing.
There's one gaming stream that we're part of that was like it's not popular enough, and I'm like I don't know how because it's like literally the most anticipated video game.
Yeah,
like,
right now
for like the last like half a year. But anyway, so that this only stream that lets us play any of the Mortal Kombat games.
Yeah.
We're going to be hosting that show on the day of release, and we're going to have like one of the other biggest Mortal Kombat fans with us. It's going to be a really cool show, so I hope you guys tune in.
That's right.
And you can look up RKVC, the band that Vince and I are in. Our music on all the music platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. And our YouTube channel, you can subscribe to. We put stuff on there sometimes now.
Funny stuff.
Actually, well, like
When we feel like it.
well, like, we went on this. We told all our subscribers that last year we're taking more time to do things either of quality or that we kind of feel like doing, or that our sponsor they're going to help us, like do more content. And that's what we've been doing. It's just been taking a lot of time to do these videos, but hopefully we'll have some. I don't want to promise something specific for this week, but I'm hoping to get this done this week in time for Mortal Kombat to come out. But we have that, and then Josh has a podcast called A Band's Life.
Woohoo! I just I help. We all do music kind of stuff, but we're also nerds. So I do a podcast where I just talk to bands about how they're surviving in the music industry, and we kind of help each other out by saying, here's what we do, and here's what I do, and here's how you can maybe do it too.
That's right.
Because God knows you need help in that business.
Oh, please, I need help now.
Everybody.
Yeah, so thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you stay tuned for next week's podcast on Yellow Spandex.